Please welcome Ruth Wasserman Landa, Strategic Consultant, Head of Global Strategy, Magen David Adom. First, we will start with a brief video presentation.
شكرا عشان أنقذ حياتي.
הוא אומר לך תודה שהצלת את החיים שלי.
וואי, אתה לא יודע כמה כיף לראות אותך ככה. ב7 לאוקטובר נסעתי על הכביש הזה. אני זוכר שנסעתי פה, ראינו ממש תמרות עשן. עכשיו אנחנו בדרך לפגוש ילד שטיפלתי בו ב7 לאוקטובר. מבחינתי זה האירוע הכי מרגש שהיה לי באותו יום.
מה השיר?
שיר, יש לכם כוח במבטחים? יש לי ילד אחד, כדור כניסה בבטן, סימני הלם חמורים מאוד. אתה לא תסתכל עליי.
תוך כדי שאתה לוחץ לו על הדימום שהוא מדמה ממנו, אני שולחת לך בקשה למיקום בוואטסאפ. תאשר אותו, תשלח לי מיקום. אני צריכה על השיחה, אני לא עוזבת אותך.
מה נשמע? כיף חלק?
סלם.
אתה זוכר? אתה זוכר אותי? וואי, טוב לראות אותך, וואו. איזה יופי. אתה זוכר שהיית באמבולנס? זה האמבולנס, נסעת בו איתי. היית איתי מאחורה. היי. וואי, את לא יודעת איזה מרגש זה. הוא אמר לי, ימה. הוא קרא לאמא שלו וזה היה כל כך קשה.
شكرا عشان أنقذ حياتي.
הוא אומר לך תודה שהצלת את החיים שלי.
וואי, אתה לא יודע כמה כיף לראות אותך ככה.
انت عربي
أخو أبويا
אז הוא ירה באבא שלו.
انزل من السيارة أول شيء.
לפני הירי אמרו לו שתרד מהאוטו.
وبعدين لما نزل السيارة أخوه
ירד מהאוטו וירו בו.
وطلع على الأرض.
נפל על הרצפה.
بعد ما أبوي نزل
אחרי שאבא ירד
طاحوا
מהאוטו.
كمان وحدة رصاصة.
גם ירו עוד ירי בתוך האוטו.
وطبت فيني.
אחד מהם פגעה בעטלה.
ونزلت الدمي.
אז הבטן שלו התחילה לדמם.
بعدين خذوني فيه.
לקחו אותו באמבולנס.
התחלתי לטפל, אתה זוכר שנתתי לך את הזריקה ביד?
אول שחטת
חיברתי לך את הזה, מדעתי לך לחץ דם.
اللي حط فيني إبر وكوابل.
הוא זוכר שהוא שם לו את הזריקה ואת הכבלים.
והגענו לבית חולים, רצנו איתך פנימה לרופאים שיטפלו בך. שמח לראות אותך בריא ושלם וחזרה בבית ספר. אתה באמת ילד גיבור. כשתהיה גדול, אני רוצה לראות אותך בא אלינו למד"א, תתנדב איתנו, תציל אתה חיים. כמו שהצילו את החיים שלך, גם אתה יכול להציל חיים.
אינשאללה.
אינשאללה. כי כל יום הוא יום טוב להציל חיים.
Ruth, thank you for joining me. I'm watching this video and I volunteered myself. My army service was in Magen David Adom, so I know that story personally. Maybe that one. So I can totally relate. Tell me, for the past 2 years, Magen David Adom team work under heavy missile fire and very significant and traumatizing conditions. What were the challenges you faced?
So I didn't face the challenges. I don't want to take any credit to myself. And I just want to say thank you for having me here. In my current cap, really representing an organization which is so touching, so giving, really the epitome of humanity, without color, without ethnicity, without choosing whose life to save. Truly something that's touching beyond words. And just to answer your question, hopefully in a manner which is representative of those angels in white who actually do the hard work. You know, these people are putting their lives at risk, in danger. They're in the front lines all the time. They think lastly of themselves and all they care about all day long. And you know, I've been there for just several months now. doing the global strategy. But what I see all the time is them literally just caring about how many more lives they can save, how much more help they can give. It's quite astounding. I mean, most people in Israel, although they know that this exists, and every time something happens, they call Magen David Adom, they don't, I think, realize how much these people actually give to society. Really, they literally deserve a round of applause. Seriously.
And as terrorism is spreading worldwide, in what ways can Magen David Adom provide a model for other nations?
So, given the fact that there is so much terrorism throughout the world, so much hate, Israel, unfortunately, is at the forefront of that, and Magen David Adom, hence, is also at the forefront of dealing with that in very, very, very short times, in a situation where there's so much pressure and they cannot break. They have built a resilience, and literally this is a model for emulation, which can be a light onto the nation. So it's truly something that not only countries but organizations and even more so Jewish communities can learn from, especially with the rise of anti-Semitism, because very often, unfortunately, these days we cannot even count on medicine, emergency medicine being given very quickly at given points of time. Sometimes, medical teams are even afraid to reach certain areas, or they don't come quickly enough. And there is training, community training by Magen David Adom to Jewish communities to really deal with such situations, whether they are terrorism or other, but particularly in issues pertaining to anti-Semitism and terrorism. How can you as a community deal with this issue? Not as a doctor, not as a paramedic, but give support, show resilience, serve as a community to the people in your community, to the Jewish people in various communities throughout the world. And that's beautiful. They call it the 7-minute project. What do you do in those minutes before the ambulance actually comes? And it's brilliant, and it's giving.
Yeah. So you basically train communities, not only in Israel, to deal with situations, any kind of situation before the ambulance comes?
So first and foremost, Magen David Adom in Israel has friendship associations throughout the world, whether it's in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, in the United States. And apart from that, giving information, fundraising and so on, they also give services to the communities, the different communities. They talk about what are the possibilities. They train the communities.
Like first aid training.
Sometimes it's first aid training. Sometimes it's training for doctors that come to Israel to have the specific training. Sometimes it's to make them ambassadors for Magen David Adom throughout the world, because we've spoken about it being a model for emulation. And, young people, young Jewish people sometimes train to be paramedics, whether they come to Israel or whether they get it abroad. But the 7-minute project is actually for the entire community. As I said, it's not for an individual to give a certain kind of service, but how do you react in order to maintain that resilience in the face of difficulty?
Inspiring. On October 7th, terrorists carried instructions to deliberately harm paramedics and ambulances, violating international law. What response is needed from the international community?
So I think a lot has been said throughout the day about hypocrisy. And, the pieces of paper, the plans found on a lot of the terrorist bodies actually gave them very specific instructions. Attack the stations of Magen David Adom, attack the paramedics, and attack the ambulances, or at least take the air out of the wheels and make those ambulances
We've
improper.
seen that in videos.
Absolutely. And this is par excellence a hindrance of giving humanitarian aid, trying to save lives. I mean, the Red Cross, but not only that, the international arena, yearning, in inverted commas, for human rights, should rise up and say, where are those human rights? I mean, this is a terrorist organization that has targeted the very people who are supposed to be first responders, and this is against international law. Where is the outcry? How come there isn't a legislative response to that in the international courts? And this is very, very important because, as I said before, these people put their lives on the line in order to save the lives of civilians.
Yeah. Listen, the whole 7th of October was targeting civilians, and obviously now we're learning about paramedics and ambulances. After Jews and Arabs paramedics sacrificed their lives on October 7th, how does Magen David Adom honor their legacy?
So there's so many ways. This is a family of over 35,000 volunteers, which is quite incredible. And you have everyone. You have Druze, you have Muslims, you have Jews, you have people from the periphery and from the center. All of them have lives and jobs and careers, and yet they take off their time voluntarily, and they actually, go out of their way to save people in their so-called free time. And the organization, at least I've seen and felt, and really directly, is like a family. It's quite strange to say that about so many people, but it's like a family. They breathe saving lives. It's quite extraordinary, and it's indicative of how the DNA of those people actually works. It's not where I can get more, is where I can give more. The organization embraces them. It elevates them. It creates not only a family surrounding, but also a sense of, how should I put it, there's so much reward in being part of that family. Not to mention the fact that when you actually do save a life, sometimes it's documented. Sometimes then there is a meeting, like we saw in the video, between the paramedic and the person that they saved. There's almost nothing that can equate to that feeling that you've sort of brought back a life, a light. So I personally, and I think, all of us here having experienced and lived through October 7th, and unfortunately living through very difficult and trying times now as well, I think it's a statement to make, to salute the people that give of themselves, Magen David Adom, and also not only to the people of Israel, but also to all our brothers and sisters in the diaspora.
Thank you so much for being here and telling us the Magen David Adom story. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you all of you.